Hi, and welcome back to the When Stories podcast. I'm Lisa Condon, certified When Stories facilitator out of Nashville, Tennessee. I am so excited because today I am joined with and by the lovely and beautiful and talented Lisa Yeakley, who did her When story back in March. Lisa, welcome and thank you for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to share my story because I know that hearing stories is what has impacted my life the most. And so if I can even impact one more person, then I know I've done my piece in the world.
I love it. See, and this is why I love Lisa. She is just fantastic. So, Lisa, just tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and where you live, what business you're in. Tell us, just give us some of the goods.
Awesome. So, Lisa Yeakley, I am a mom of two biological and two stepchildren for the past 13 years, I guess. Wow, crazy. Time flies when you're having fun. We raised them. They're very close in age. Currently, they're 20, 21, 22, and just turned 24 this past weekend. And we lived a teenage dream or a nightmare, depended on the week, right? But during that, it was a lot of moving parts and all the things. So I live in Oregon, Wisconsin, which is just south of Madison, the capital city. And it has been where I've lived since having my firstborn, so 24 years. And I grew up in southern Wisconsin, about 45 minutes away from here in Monroe. To a single mom, if you listen to my Wen story, you'll hear all about that. But um, I am who I am from a lot of that. So I respect where I came from. And I really, you can live in regret or you can live in love. And I really learned that I needed to love where I came from to become the best version of me.
Mm, I love that. And, loving where you come from, there's so much to that because I think people often forget the geography part of that. And so that actually really speaks loudly to me because I left my hometown when I was 17 and never looked back. And yet, now there's an appreciation that's very different, as we age. So, I love that. So, Lisa, what made you decide to do a when story?
Um, so when I turned 50, which was 2 years ago, I had this nagging sensation that there's more. There's just more. And I don't even know what that more means. I did hair for most of my adult life for almost 30 years. And ever since then, I've been a metabolic reset coach since 2018. And I have had quite a health journey through Optavia of losing over 80 pounds, really getting healthy from the inside out, as you and I have talked about several times. And the part that I never really understood was how much mentally getting healthy had to happen. And so, um, we'd all been on diets. We've all tried to do different things. And so I guess the part that really talks to me the most is that I was so in my head and like who I am. And I still spend too much time in that bitch voice, as I like to call her. Because sometimes I'm just not the nicest person to myself. Like I'm a lot nicer to a stranger than I am to myself. And so that voice of how I spoke to myself and all of that, why I wanted to do a When story is because I know I'm not alone. I know that person or that those voices of who you are came from different times in your life. And so the When story to me, um, it was a way to put my story out there somehow with some coaching. I like to be in action. I'm not like a writer or a person that was going to do a podcast or anything of the sort, right? So but I know I have a story that can resonate with so many women, especially, but I also think men. I do think there's a time and space that the more men that can share their story in a vulnerable way. I think men try to be macho and want to do all the things that way, where women, we shrink back. And
Mm,
I've spent too many years shrinking back to not stand out. And so I was like, I met you in a weird circumstance that you had a friend in Oregon, Wisconsin. And so we got on a Zoom and I said, I would kind of want to do a one story. I think I said kind of. I probably didn't commit because that would be scary. And I honestly can say at first I was like, what are you doing? Like that voice came in, right? And working through some of the things that I didn't even realize those voices were what I was listening to about being good enough or not good enough, or was I good at this or not good at that? Like, I think there's so many things in your life that you just don't even realize play such a part of who you become. And in the becoming, I've really noticed sometimes you just want to be like, to hell with that. Like, I'm just going to do the thing, right?
mm,
But there's always that little, I always call it like the chitter chatter. And when stories really help me kind of get a little bit more clarity from why they were coming, where they were coming, and then what am I going to do with it?
mm,
And so, and Lisa, you were just such an amazing component to that. And watching it over and seeing yourself on camera, I am like the critical, critchy lady. I was like going to be so critical. And last night, I just really got to sit and listen. And I do. I have more. I'm meant for more. And I hope if you're listening to this today, you take a piece away that you can shut down some of the chitter chatter in your head and that maybe just pushing through that thing today. Because
mm,
on the other side of fear is truly freedom and freedom from things you don't even know you need to be free from.
mm. Oh, I love that. That is a mic drop moment right there. Yes, love it. So as you were creating your when story, Lisa, did it stay the same?
Did it stay the same? Um, there was that one piece in the Crayola pants that I kind of it really affected me more than I thought. And so that piece, but then I wanted to like put that away, like put that back on the shelf that probably formed a lot of who I thought I was. I think that would be the best way. Like who I thought I was from the whispers or from the things in fourth grade, mind you. And I think that was one of the things that really made me I wanted to run away from it. But the things you really want to run away from, you have to like circle back. And so where it went from there and the other when times, because there's no one when time. Because I had many freak out moments and I'd be like, okay, just forget it. I don't want to do any of that. Like, and you're like, but I think, and so that constant reminder of, but what if you did push through? I mean, I just said it myself, like a lot of freedom came from pushing through some of those fear. And part of that fear was, saying and bringing up things about my mom, like she didn't take care of her health the way that I thought she should have, or knowing what I know now, like I'm going to do XYZ, but she didn't know. And I think that we can be so judgmental of people and what they're not doing, but we really forget about what they truly do not know. And that part of it was something that recognizing that in my own life of like, my mom did what she could with what she knew. It's just helped me see other people's story. Here I go, leaking again. Um, but it helped me see other people's story through those lenses that you don't have to have it all figured out to know that people aren't making those choices because they don't want to. There truly is a time where people aren't making those choices because they don't even know that there's an opportunity. And so that's the piece that I would like to just share that there's more opportunity, there's more hope. There's different ways of getting healthy, and it's not always in a diet or it's not always in things. And mental health is, in my opinion, sometimes a little bit of a buzzword about May is Mental Health Awareness Month, but what does that mean? Because I think we all struggle in different areas or contend. I don't like the word struggle, but that mental health component is in every single one of our lives. There is somebody affected by it tragically. There is someone affected by mental health in so many ways. But how we speak to ourselves, that mental health was something that really, really made me think a lot during my When story preparation, I guess would be the biggest thing. So,
Mhm. Well, and one of the things that I really appreciated in the evolving of your story was how you spoke about what your mom navigated because it came through with so much love and honoring what she did. And that was so loud and clear, and it was really beautiful. And there was no judgment. It was truly, and again, that that's a portion of your story, but it was just lovely how you wrapped your arms around her through your words. And that came through very loud and clear in your story. And I know, and again, I know you and I had conversations about that where, and I think many people do that have when stories. If somebody is part of their story and that person's still here, how do you honor them in a way that you tell your story and at the same time what impact they may have had, right? And that can be challenging. That could, for my when story, my parents are both mentioned in mine, but my parents are both gone. And so there wasn't going to be any feedback from them. So I just really appreciated how you navigated that. It was wonderful, really wonderful.
well, and I think there's such a piece of things that affected your life, right? Like
Mhm.
there's that resentment factor of like, well, this is why I am, this is your fault. You can look at it that way, or you can
Mhm.
really look at how did I grow from that? And I did live a lot of resentment years and anger and, around both my parents. And it truly wasn't serving me being a parent. Um, being a human. I mean, resenting like who they were and how they chose to raise me, or again, based on what they knew. And so I think that piece of it too is like, there's just so much more to it. And the mental health component, again, like the factor that it plays into your own mindset, your own self-worth, your own guidance, your own tenacity. And I think part of it was I always say I was like the super shy kid in school and people never believe me, but I really was until I was like, you know what? Shy doesn't get me anywhere. And not that I need to get somewhere, but my voice can be heard. And that is something that I watched too long, too many people in my life not do. So sometimes it only comes out in my mouth and not my actions. Sometimes it comes out in my actions and not my mouth. And sometimes you get both. So I think that mental health component is another piece of it in your actions versus your saying.
I love it. So, last question before we wrap this up. So, actually, I have two questions. One, would you do it again?
For sure, without a doubt. Because there's so many more stories that made me really have those like when everything changed thoughts in my head, for sure.
Mm,
Yep.
absolutely. And yeah, I agree with you. So many when stories, we all have them, and they are just, and they continue to happen, right? We don't stop living as humans. Um, what do you think your biggest aha moment was through writing and then ultimately getting on stage and sharing your when story?
My biggest aha, honestly, like the impact. Like I feel in doing, helping and coaching the people that I'm coaching, I feel like I'm part of their journey. And in some way I know I am, but like there's so much more to a health journey than what you eat or it, and like the things that I've said or the things that I've done. And part of the things that have been said to me in my past, the things that made me the most like pissed off in the moment were the things I needed to hear the most. And so when I first started coaching, one of the things I felt like I was a really good cheerleader. But I don't know if you know this, cheerleaders are always cheering, even when you are sucking. I mean, they're the ones that are just giving you. And it helped me really see that being a coach was much more needed. And so I've had some really heart to heart talks with people, but also because I've put myself out there knowing that I needed to hear the stuff I didn't want to hear.
Mm.
And I always say, like, the truth will set you free is true. Like, you don't always like it though. Like, it hurts, it stings. And when it stings or it hurts, and some of the things I needed to get off my chest through my Wen story really gave me a, a huge relief. And I've been able to push through barriers in my own health in the past, 8, 10 weeks that honestly, I've been sitting at some things for years. And I had seen a therapist and I had talked to, my pastor. I've talked to different people. And I guess my aha is you got to get the shit between your ears straight to move on. And I don't care what it is, you just have to get things straight. Is mine straight? No, it's still a little squiggly and it will continue. But health is a journey, and I don't care if it's your mental, physical, financial, it is a journey. And you're going to do awesome things and you're going to do awful things to put yourself in those areas. But at the end of the day, it's really looking at what can you take away from the journey and what can you kind of like redo in your journey and not feel like you're redoing your life over.
Mhm. I love it. Well, Lisa, last night was your world premiere, and I had the honor of being there for it, and I was very excited. And just all of the people that showed up for you, almost 30 people online with you, not just watching on YouTube, but literally being with you in the moment as you were seeing it for the first time. And I can tell you by sitting back and just watching them admire and love on you was so beautiful and so heartwarming. And I just want to thank you for being part of When Stories and part of the journey that I'm having here in Nashville. It's very special, and you are one incredibly special human being, and I'm so grateful to know you. So I just want to thank you. Thank you for your time today and being here. And I'm so excited because coming up next, stay tuned for Lisa Yeakley's Fun Story.
Your story matters, don't let it fade. When everything changed, you were made.
When everything changed, I was 10 years old. I was in fourth grade. I showed up at a new school as the new girl. You've all been there. I showed up in that room hopeful, excited, and ready to make new friends and start a new way of life. But you see, I had on blue cotton pants, and the pocket was Crayola crayons. And I want you to know there were whispers, there was ridicule, all the voices, all the fun was being made of me. And in that moment, I can tell you, I decided I was less than. You know the feeling when you walk in a room and you feel like the space you're in, you shouldn't even take up. You know that feeling that you're just less than. And I want you to know those pants had been worn at my previous school, and they were just pants. So showing up in those pants, did I know it would be when everything changed for me? I didn't. So I can tell you, moving to a new school, being raised by a single mom, there were a lot of times in life that I felt shrunk, less than, and I could feel myself not want to show up in certain rooms. And one of those times that just kind of enabled my smallness, my self-worth, was on my high school graduation day. You see, my dad wasn't part of my life. And on that day, a dozen roses showed up at my door. Wow, everybody's like, dozen roses, how exciting. And I looked to see, and they were from my dad. And it didn't create a piece of me that felt good. It didn't create a piece of excitement. Those roses to me represented, wow, is that for everything you missed? Because he wasn't there. He wasn't there when my mom was working her tail off to do whatever she could to be the best version and help my brother and I become what we became. He wasn't there when my mom couldn't be there because she was working so much. And you see, again, I felt less than. So after high school, I decided to become a hairdresser. Fun job. I can go stand behind the chair. And I love to talk to people, but especially women. And so many women sat in my chair over those years. And during that time, I got married the first time at a very young age of 20. Guess who? My dad shows up, wants to know what he should wear to my wedding. And I told him, wear whatever you want because you gave me away a long time ago. And that, my friends, was just another moment that in your wedding day, your dad, like that's the glory, that's the excitement. For me, nope, hands off. So as I walked through that stage of life and got married and I became a hairdresser, standing behind the chair left me with so many great memories. Honestly, I did hair for almost 30 years. And during that time, I can tell you, I got to witness women in their best, in their worst, and their best things in life and in their worst things of life. Because you tell your hairdresser everything. There were so many times that I really leaned on those stories to hide my own trauma, to feel like, you know what, they have it worse than me. I don't have it that bad. And I know that. Like, there's nothing that bad in that story. But when you, as we all do, stand around in a world of comparison and wonder is this really a story that matters? I can tell you, listening to those women, men too, because believe it or not, men go through things, but they would come in sharing whatever they wanted. Maybe they wanted to be blonde or brunette, and that was just a mask. That was something that they could hide behind. Sometimes people would come in and they'd be like, I'm going to do bangs. I'm like, oh, no, you're not, because I can tell you right now, last time I did those on you, you made me promise to never do that again. And I hold my word. So in those moments when I got to stand behind that chair, make them feel as beautiful as possible, I did everything in my power to just love on them, be there, and just know that their story mattered. And so during that time, when I would take the cape off, many women, especially women, oh my gosh, I'm so puffy. Oh, my chin.
I should have worn more makeup. Why didn't I fill in the blank? You've all been there. The magic of that cape comes off. Your hair is beautiful, but yet you feel that less than moment. And so watching this over and over for 30 years, I know those wounds. I felt those wounds. And I can tell you, I started repeating patterns of my own mother because she worked her tail off. She did not take care of herself, you guys. She didn't have time. She didn't have the money. She didn't have anything that you need to take good care of yourself. So I watched her live in a life of lack of money, lack of taking care of yourself, and just, working more. And I watched her at the young age of 40, late 40s, develop type 2 diabetes. Not a big deal, right? Half America lives with it now. It is a big deal, you guys. It's so preventable. So in that time, 40, she develops type 2. I watch her health decline. Age 52, she has her first heart attack. You guys, I turned 52 this month. I just said that without tears in my eyes. Liar. Anyway, I decided that the lifestyle I had, the things I was doing, I was repeating those chains. And I knew that time that my mom saw me working just as hard. It's what I knew. So fast forward, I had been on every diet. I tried everything because I didn't have a thyroid, and so many women don't have a thyroid. And I have a thyroid, but it was iodine I removed. And during that time, I had tried everything. And just like you tell your hairdresser everything, I told my clients all of it too. So when I would tell my clients what diet I was on this week, what trend I was going to do, they came back in, 4, 5, 6 weeks to a fatter, way more unhealthy in my mind, in my body, so much, every single time. So I decided in 2018, after watching a friend lose 120 pounds. I want you to know I'm 5'2", and I weighed over 225 pounds. So it shows up different when you're short. And I wore a cape because the magic of a cape, right? I got to stand behind my cape just like I put my women and clients behind their cape. But I had watched a friend lose 120 pounds. And I want to tell you something. She cracked the code, right? Like, this is it. I'm going to go. I'm going to find out. She's offering a coffee event. And I am going to go there. And she's going to crack my code. Like, I'm finally going to get healthy. Tell my husband. He's like, yeah, you should go. He could see the anticipation and excitement in my face. And I was so hopeful. So when I showed up there, I walk in the room and I'm so excited and hopeful. The person sitting in the room is my ex-husband's wife at the time. Now, this has nothing to do with her. But again, I shrink back. Because you see, she might get healthier than me. She might lose more weight than me. So for me, it was just another excuse to fail. Wait, how can you fail if you don't even start? That was where I was going with this. So I do the meeting, we talk about all the things, and come home. My husband, Ryan, says to me, how'd it go? Not doing it. No way. So-and-so was there. She's going to lose more weight. She's just going to get healthier. And you know what? I'm not doing it. If I don't do it, I can't fail. Because you see, I'd failed and failed and failed. Feeling less than, and looking at him. He said, "So what?" And in that moment, there was someone who believed in me, probably more than I had ever believed in myself. That moment shifted everything. Fast forward, I lose 30 pounds. I find it faster than I lose it because, friends, eating the food is the easiest part. Doing the eating right thing, easy. But you know what was so unhealthy in me? My mind. So I lost those 30 pounds and I found them faster than I lost them. There she is again. She showed up. Girl, you're never going to do it. You're never, at this point I got under 200 and I thought, oh gosh, like I made it, but I didn't get healthy in all the spots. So, sorry, I decided that I needed to take more avenues. I needed to get healthy in other ways. And health really, truly starts in your head. So I went through a time of counting calories, checking the box to make sure the serving size, drinking water, just showing up. I get a time. My mom, it's time to just go pick her gravesite. She's still alive. She's in the car. I live in Wisconsin. It's so snowy. I'm like, you just stay in the car. I'm going to walk with this guy. We're going to go pick it out. And she's like, I think my mom's gravesite is over there, so I want to be by that gravesite. As I'm walking through this cemetery, no big deal, right? Just picking out your mom's grave area. Again, he asks my mom's last name. I tell him, and he stops dead in his tracks, and he says, I have a man that works here with that same last name. I said, yeah, it's my dad. I got in that car. I was so hurt, frustrated, because that guy said to me when I said, that's my dad, he said, what? He doesn't have a daughter. So when I got in that car and I told my mom that story, without discounting what she had done, right? Because she did it all on her own. I knew I was made for more, and his opinion certainly didn't matter. Like what he chose to do all, his life and not have me in his, really not my problem. And then a full circle moment, you guys. Because people are watching. They're watching the good, the bad, the ugly. And I would be home. Now at this time I'm done doing hair as full time, but I'm sitting at the counter with my son, and he came home. And we're just talking about the day. And he's like, hey, I had to write a story about my hero today. And I chose you. I don't know about any of you, but if you have kids, that one hits you like a different kind of punch in the gut. Holy smokes, I'm someone's hero. Someone that I didn't think even knew what I was doing, didn't even realize the changes I was trying to make. Things in my house that I had changed, drinking more water, looking at what a serving size was, making fruits and vegetables equally as available as Doritos, because let's face it, if it's not cut up and ready to go, a kid's not going to eat it. But in doing that, him and watching his story change about his own health, and that's what this became. It didn't matter the physical, mental, all of those things that were in my head about why I felt less than. Because in that moment, I knew as a parent, I was there. I was there for the important stuff. I don't miss those things. But why was I there? How did I show up? Maybe you're thinking, who cares? You're a mom. Of course you would show up. And in writing this, I can tell you, there were so many times I heard the "so what" from my husband. Then I'd hear the voice in my head say, who cares? And you guys, here's what I'm going to tell you. Who cares? The woman who was just diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and needs to get her health in order. The woman who also maybe is fighting heart disease because that was a generational thing in my family. And as a health coach now, I've partnered with so many women. And part of their story, sure, maybe it's weight loss. Maybe it's getting their blood pressure or their blood sugars in control. But the bigger part of their story is really erasing the trauma and looking at why are those habits reoccurring? Why do you keep bringing it back to the same old habits? And I can tell you, many of those times I just shared with you, what did I turn to? I turned to food. I turned to alcohol. I turned to whatever would make me feel good in the moment. But now I get to walk alongside women and men, sharing that I didn't do this perfect. Lord knows I'm still not arrived. And I want you all to know, health is like the laundry, and it is never done. Because the minute you think you got it figured out, you don't. So today, if I've encouraged you in any way to change maybe a little piece of your story, maybe share a piece of what matters most to you in your health right now, I hope you will take that away, because I can tell you right now, people are watching, people really do care, and in that moment, everything changes. Thank you.
Your story matters, don't